We're broadcasting live.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining us. Time is now 6:31. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Thank you very much. Thank you. Someone has their mics unmuted and we can hear your conversation. So the meeting is called to order. Time is 6:31. Madam Clerk, can you proceed with the roll call, please?
Mayor Gore.
Here.
Vice Mayor Bennett.
Here.
Councilor Randolph.
Here.
Councilor Holloway.
Here.
Councilor Parton.
He is walking up the steps right now.
Okay. Councilor Denton.
Here.
Councilor Pelham.
Here.
Thank you. I want to welcome all of our visitors that are joining us remotely. I'd like to make sure everybody knows you can watch this on Council Live on our Council website. It'll redirect you to our YouTube page, and we have a channel where you can see all of our past meetings since we've gone live, or virtual, I should say. Would anyone like to entertain a closed motion?
Let me raise my hand. Wait a minute.
Go ahead, Councilor Denton. I see that you're trying to speak. Go ahead.
Okay. I talked to the city attorney earlier, and we felt that since it is time sensitive to do the CSA, CPMT, the agreement and the contract, the resolution. So I thought we had done that, but we wanted to put that first before we went into closed session. Am I correct, Ms. City Attorney?
Yes, ma'am. The amended agenda that came out this evening actually had this as item 1, Mayor Gore.
Right. Okay, so yeah, I did get an amended agenda around 3:30, so that was the change to move that up and to add a closed session?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Let me just make sure. So in the packet that I have, I don't have any of that stuff. So do you want to make it clear for the record, Councilor Dan? This is all I have for our discussion. And also, if you don't mind, I do have, I did send out this evening, you probably have not seen it. DuPont is trying to give 500 masks and 16 gallons of sanitizer to the kits that I've been working on. The masks are not expired, they're disposable. And so I sent that information to council.
Yeah, what?
I'm sorry, what?
I saw it.
Okay, and they expected it to be picked up. I told them I didn't realize it was going to come so soon, but I had to go to council. So I also asked if you don't mind adding that as the last item tonight, if you have time to do so. And Councilor Jennings, since this is your meeting, I'm asking you if you'll be amenable to that. And if so, also, when you state your motion, can you please put your items that you want to talk about in order so we can have it on the record and I can know how to proceed when we come out of closed session, Councilor Denton?
Well, I think the revised one had it, but let me check. I'm not sure.
Yeah, she sent out a revised agenda today about 4:15.
The revised agenda is to let's take care of the CSA, CPMT agreement and resolution. Then we will go into closed session to discuss the 2 appointments to the school board. And then the Mr. Dean has something that he wants to talk to us about real estate wise. And then we'll come back out and finish up when we come out of closed session.
Okay, so do you mind adding the mask after we come out of closed session, after we make a decision on whatever happens in closed session?
Can we not just do it after CMP before close?
Yeah, after we come back out and we've got motions, hopefully.
Okay.
Do it after that, yes.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm fine keeping it last because I don't want to mess up your agenda that you have. So council, she said CSA, then to go into closed session, and we have the 2 appointments, and she said a real estate matter that we need to have discussed. We'll come out of closed session, take action if necessary, and then discuss the mass. Is everyone clear on that?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can Ms. Brown put the new agenda on the screen for the public?
I have the screen, and that's what I thought the new agenda was, but I will check. Okay, she just sent it to me again. One moment. Okay. Okay, I got it. Give me 1 second. I think this is the same. Let me make sure. Okay, so I'm pulling this up now for everyone, but that was Councilor Denton's motion. Correct, Councilor Denton?
Motion, what?
Yes. Well, I just stated, the order that I just stated, is that correct?
Yes, yes, that's
Okay.
the order, yes.
And I'll second that.
No, oh, okay. I mean, that's the agenda, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so that should be the packet that's on your screen now, okay?
Yeah, that's the new one, yes.
Okay, perfect. Is there any other questions or discussion at this time? And Councilor Pelham, you have your hands raised, and then Councilor Denton, Councilor Randolph.
I just wanted the new agenda. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Randolph?
I was thinking that we need to, because the motion was made and yours was seconded to add, we just need to vote, don't we?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
If there is no other items for discussion, Madam Clerk, proceed the roll call, please.
Councilor Pelham?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett?
Yes.
Councilor Randolph?
Yes.
Councilor Holloway?
Yes.
Councilor Parton?
Yes.
Mayor Gore?
Yes.
Councilor Denton?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. For the public, we will drop offline for our closed session discussion. There'll be a standing page on the screen to let you know that we are still in closed session. When we come back out, we'll reconvene, we'll put back on the agenda, and then we'll continue with the meeting and do the appointments and the other discussion. So we'll be back momentarily.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. We just moved. I forgot we put CSA at the top. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot. So, Councilor Denton, I apologize. I was still thinking about the old agenda packet. I'm so sorry. So, Councilor Denton, you have you have the CSA contract for approval and CMT discussion. You want to take it over, and I'll scroll. Do you have something in here for that now?
Yes, this is the agreement or the contract that will go out to the vendors. And the resolution that our attorney has prepared will give permission to CPMT to sign these vendor agreements. But I'm going to turn this over to our city attorney, Ms. Robinson, because she's been in contact with Wanda Brown, the CSA director. So, Ms. Robinson, can you kind of fill in where I've stopped here?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Mayor Gore, members of council, you have two documents in front of you. The first is a form agreement that is used by CSA to procure services for children pursuant to the 2.2 5200 et al. Of the state code. That agreement has been revised from the old version to provide now for the city to be the contracting party as opposed to CPMT. That's the most substantive amendment or change made to the form document, and that is the primary reason that this matter is before you for approval. Within that agreement as well is some language designating CPMT as the agent for the city for purposes of negotiating terms and to sign off on the agreement. As we've stated in other instances, the city's contracting authority has to be delegated, and this is one of those moments where I am recommending that you actually make that delegation to the CPMT for their purposes. Along with the form contract is also a resolution. The resolution basically memorializes council's actions here as in terms of designating CPMT to act for it in all matters pertaining to this form contract, which is also approved. And just so you understand the extent to which your approval will extend, I'll read the resolution paragraphs, which are at the bottom of the form document before you. Be it resolved by the Hopewell City Council this 30th day of June 2020, the following. Number one, that the City of Hopewell hereby approves the form and terms of the attached agreement utilized by the Hopewell Community Policy and Management Team to contract on behalf of the City of Hopewell, Virginia, in accordance with CPMT carrying out its duties and responsibilities related to providing services to children and families as required by Virginia Code, Section 2.2-5204. Paragraph 2, the Hopewell Community Policy and Management Team is hereby designated and shall act for the City of Hopewell, Virginia, for all purposes related to the contracting for services or goods pursuant to the attached agreement, including executing any amendments thereto. CPMT may delegate this contracting authority to be exercised by a specific individual, provided such delegation is made in writing, approved by a majority of the CPMT, and recorded and maintained as an official record of the CPMT, and a copy thereof delivered to the City of Hopewell within no less than 72 hours of approval. Paragraph 3, and this is the final paragraph, all authority granted hereunder may be withdrawn by the City of Hopewell at its sole discretion at any time. So that's the substance of the two documents before you. In addition to changing the parties to the form contracts, some other small changes were made. But again, the most substantive terms was substantive term singular was to name the City of Hopewell as the contracting party. And that concludes my remarks. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. There's a hand raised by Councilor Pelham. The line is muted. Councilor Pelham, your line is muted.
So I'll pass for a minute.
Councilor Randolph.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Madam City Attorney, could you help to explain to the public and to council the reason for the changes, the substantive change that was made in making the City of Hopewell the actual contractor in this resolution, and then help us to understand any reporting requirements or dollar values that are possibly involved in this, if you would. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so the question is a very good one. Why did we have to modify the former form to provide for the City of Hopewell as the contracting party for the agreement? And the answer simply is this, Madam Councilor and members of the public. The former contract identified the CPMT as the contracting party for purposes of procuring these services. The state code provides for the delineation of the authority of the CPMT, and absent from that statutory authority is any power or authority to enter into contracts. And so for that reason, we identified that particular provision as being something that was not in conformance with the law, at least as to its pertaining to the power CPMT held expressly by the state code. The conversation actually started in the context of CPMT having to readdress how to proceed with enforcing some of these obligations in the context of the shelter in place executive order. And as you all may recall, the effect of that order closed schools, and some of the services that were procured went hand in hand with in-person learning. And so once those services were interrupted and we had to think of alternative ways to deliver services, then the content of the contract became a point of not contention, but of issue relative to redress, reducing the amounts paid for services, et cetera. And it was in the context of that review and those kinds of issues that we identified I don't want to use the word failing, but just the problem that needed to be addressed going forward. And this seemed to be a very straightforward way of dealing with it. And one of the reasons that we have also gone the step further in this instance by designating the CPMT as our agent is to facilitate their needs to move quickly and efficiently with their processes that are already in place for procuring services and then entering into contracts so that service delivery will not be delayed or interrupted. In terms of any recording requirements, this agreement doesn't really stray from any process that was already in place relative to how CPMT actually goes about procuring services. There are statutory exemptions relative to these types of services from the procurement process. So without having a very specific question, all I can say is that other than some minor other matters that have been adjusted, this is the only interruption with the way CPMT has done business in the past, and that interruption is not going to be much delayed once they are designated as the city's agent.
Thank you, ma'am.
Councilor Randolph, are you complete with the floor?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Councilor Pelham?
You said Councilor Pelham.
Yeah. Hello? What did you say?
You have your hand raised. You did.
Yeah, I took it down.
Okay, for those joining by phone, do you have any questions? Okay, no one said anything. I do have some questions about this. I just want to make sure I understand it because, well, the first part is there something that is pending that makes this urgent to be passed immediately tonight?
Mayor Gore, as far as I know, and I made at the end of my comments defer to Councilor Denton, but Ms. Brown represented to me some time ago that vendors were waiting for their contracts for the new fiscal year to provide services, or so services would not be interrupted. And the review process started in part, as I've indicated, shortly after the governor issued the executive order The amendment to the form contract began at the first part of June. And so the calendar is fairly compressed for us to go through the proper steps before the new fiscal year begins, which is tomorrow. And so I don't know the factual ramifications of this going much past July 1, but I do know that she wanted to have this all out and done by actually today, if possible. So with that, I'll turn it over to Counselor Denton, and she can provide additional information from an expert subject matter standpoint. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. You've explained it very well. I think the main thing at this point, it is time sensitive because these contracts do need to go out to the vendors so we can start doing this. And it is also imperative that we pass this to give CPMT this authority so that the city can be reimbursed by the state, and their reimbursement is 76% of the fees. And if we don't get this done, the city will be responsible for 100% rather than 24%. So there is some urgency here to get this passed.
So
okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I do have some other questions. So when you said this 24%, that's always been the agreement between the city and CPMT and the state in terms of reimbursement. So why would this affect that previous understanding and how we've been doing reimbursements? How does this affect that?
Right now, because we're in the process of doing these contracts, and we need to get started right away, and we will be meeting the third Monday of this month and approving. And if we want to be reimbursed, this has to be in place.
So this, what you brought to us tonight, the changes are needed in order to do the contracts. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You're going to have to give CPMT the authority to sign these contracts with the vendors so that we can proceed to go ahead and pay them and be reimbursed by the state.
Okay. Okay. So, Ms. Robinson, so basically, if I'm just putting this together, it kind of seems like, and I'm not trying to put words in anyone's mouth, I just want to make sure my understanding is clear. Basically, since council holds all the power vested in the city, allows the city council, unless we get delegated or give it away and give someone authority to do so. And you've said that many times before. So basically, I'm making the assumption that in the past contracts were being signed that we never gave authority for them to be able to do, even though that was part of what their process is, because they have to get vendors on to provide services. So maybe somewhere along the way that authority wasn't expressly given to them, and this does that. Is this essentially what's happening here?
Not quite, ma'am, actually. Two things. First of all, the reason we had to correct this isn't so much that it was in the name of the city of Hopewell and the city had not delegated its power to CPMT, but that CPMT was using a contract identifying itself in place of the city as the contracting party, and there was no statutory authority to do so. So they were just sort of operating under a legal power that they did not have, a mistake, if you will. And so in very plain language, the city could have disavowed those services because there was no power underneath it to enforce. But going back to your initial question to Counselor Denton, a part of the urgency here is that all of these contracts that have been utilized in the past are formatted to be effective for one fiscal year. no more than 1 fiscal year. So all of those old contracts, which misidentified the contracting party on behalf of the city, those will expire at midnight tonight. And so having a new contract in place in a timely manner so that these vendors do not stop services or interrupt services to the children and families become paramount. But that's part of the layers here, but there wasn't and I think substantively or procedurally any act by CPMT where they were engaging a contract in the name of the city without having the proper authority. They were under the belief that they could contract in their own name and sign in their own name. And there was just no statutory authority for that conclusion. And we're just cleaning it up going forward.
Okay, thank you. The last thing is, Councilor Denton, I'll support you with this since you are on CPMT and it seems like you're trying to, make sure the contracts are signed. I just want to follow up that we never addressed the policies that they were supposed to correct due to the special audit from the state. I've asked about how that process was going because the state gave them certain things to correct in the special audit. Last time they came to council last year, they said that they were still working on them, but the policies were close to being adopted. And, the issues that we had with CSA historically have been regarding vendors and contracts. So I do have up on the upcoming agenda, circle back to see where we are with those policies being corrected and that there's checks and balances in place and that they actually have policies to mitigate what happened before. So I'm just asking you as the person that's on there, just FYI, can you please just be prepared for that discussion to show us what policies they have in place now so that, if we pass, when this passes, we have reassurance that they're not going to have the same issues moving forward with vendors.
I can show you that. When we have our meeting in July, we are finalizing the policies and procedures and on the audit as well, because we were able to correct some of the mentioned items, and I will bring all of that back to council. But it'll probably be enough to not knowing that we're only having one meeting in July, one meeting in August. I would like to bring it back to you all in the August meeting.
Okay, so I have it on the July agenda for discussion. Can you just give us an update then, and then we just know that you're coming back in August with the actual stuff for us to look over? Would that be okay? Because I don't want to put you.
There is nothing I'm gonna be able to tell you on July the 14th that I can't tell you tonight, because this is going to be a meeting for the third Monday in July.
Okay.
So I don't know what I'm going to be able to tell you any different than what we have all said tonight, Ms. Robinson and I.
Okay, well, I'll just talk to you offline, but thank you for giving us that update and being willing to come back to give us these policies.
Sure. I'll make sure that you get that.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion?
So,
okay.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes. That
council accepts adopts the resolution designating Hopewell Community Policy Management Team as agent and delegating contract authority for CSA vendor contracts.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Denton, seconded by Vice Mayor Bennett. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Councilor Pelham.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett.
Yes.
Councilor Randolph.
Yes.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Parton,
Yes.
Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Counselor Denton.
Yes.
Okay. That's been addressed. Can we,
Thank you.
motion, you're welcome, Ms. Robinson, a motion to go into closed session?
Make a motion, oh, we gotta read that. Make a motion move to go into closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711 A1 to discuss and consider prospective candidates for appointment to the Hopewell School Board A3 and A6 to discuss the investment of public funds for the acquisition of real property for a public purpose where bargaining is involved, and discussion in open meeting would adversely affect the city's bargaining position and financial interests, and to the extent such discussions will be aided thereby. A4, for the protection of the privacy of individuals in personal matters not related to public business.
Second.
Motion's been made by Counselor Denton. It's been seconded by Counselor Pelham. Any discussion?
I'd like to just reiterate again for the meeting that I will be recusing myself on the discussion and appointment for the school board members, as I have a potential conflict of interest with my sister being one of the candidates.
Thank you, Counselor Parton. You're officially excused from the meeting. From this portion, I'll notify you when we come out of closed session, so that way you can join back with us, okay?
Thank you.
No problem. Roll call, please.
Counselor Pelham,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Counselor Randolph,
Yeah.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor, never mind, Mayor Gore,
Yeah, yes.
Counselor Denton.
Yes.
Okay, Council, you have the instructions to join us in our closed session meeting. I'll be there momentarily to open it up. Please, if you have a delay in getting in, let me know, because after we wait around, I'll be locking the meeting to make sure that no one gets in. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Dr. Manker, we're back from closed session. Gonna give a few more moments. I know that the clerk had to step away for a second.
Okay. I said, okay, just let me know when you're ready to restart recording.
Okay. Dr. Manker?
Yes.
The touch on my touch screen don't want to work.
The touch on your laptop?
Never mind, I got it to work. For a second, I got scared. That's the whole purpose.
Does that mean you almost lost your touch?
Oh my gosh.
That's a good one, Miss Randolph.
Thing is my baby. I love this thing. Counselor Randolph, can you hear me?
Yeah, I had to take my mute off and I'm playing games on the other screen. Yeah.
Hold on. Right now, do I still need to? I contacted the executive director.
Yeah.
She said that she wanted me to talk to Mayor Parham to see if it was cool for you to get it. Mayor Parham just wrote me back. He said there's no stipulations to let you go ahead and see it. But let me just double check if he's speaking, because the assistant city manager is the one who oversees the staff there, but he's the chair of the Clio board. So I'm pretty much going to give it to you if Sam says it's cool. But okay. I just want to make sure he realizes that she told me to also contact Miss Titus.
And I didn't really need to see it. I just kind of wanted to know in general what the issue was. So I'm okay if they don't want me to see it, just kind of knowing what the issue was. I was just
he said let you see it. I mean, everybody should see it. It's just it's a lot of issues. Like it's a whole lot of issues that happened like in the past that we're cleaning up. So you really should see it to be aware.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a hot mess. I tell you that much. Which is why the state pretty much let Hopewell get that money, because yeah.
I think the public can hear us right now.
Oh, I thought you said she wasn't broadcasting.
Recording.
Oh, sorry, public. Just know we have your best intentions at heart. All right, does everyone back on the line? Is Miss Brown, are you available now?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here, ready to go.
All right. All right, Dr. Manker, you can go live again, please.
All right. We're broadcasting.
Thank you very much. Council is coming out of our closed meeting. Is there a motion to come out of closed session? And I know we have some transactions to take care of, but we need to get out of this first, please.
I'll make the
So
motion
moved.
to come out of closed session.
Okay, motion's made by Vice Mayor Bennett, seconded by Councilor Denton. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilor Pelham,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Councilor Randolph,
Yes.
Councilor Holloway,
Yes.
Councilor Parton,
Yes.
Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Councilor Denton.
Yes.
Okay, we do have one item to take care of, and Councilor Parton has already.
Do we
We
need
have to do the certification.
certification? Yeah.
Madam Clerk, can you proceed with the certification, please?
Certification pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3712D, where only public business matters, 1, lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements, and 2, identified in the closed meeting motion discussed in closed meeting. Councilor Pelham,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Councilor Randolph,
Yes.
Councilor Holloway,
Yes.
Councilor Parton,
Yes.
Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Councilor Denton.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I was fixated on trying to make sure that Councilor Parton was on record saying he recused himself. So we eliminate him for this next step on the record and also for the roll call. Coming out of closed session, council has the one action that we would like to take. Would anyone like to entertain the motion?
Oh, did I raise my hand?
Go ahead.
Well, first, can we, Madam Attorney, is that correct? Mr. Parton, he doesn't participate in the vote and say abstain, or does he not participate at all?
So Councilor Pelham, is this a point of order or a point of information?
Point of order.
Okay, so your point of order is to ask the attorney if Councilor Parton can abstain. I'll defer.
I mean, does he have to physically abstain in his name be called? It sounds like you're saying you don't involve him in the vote at all.
Correct, because he has a conflict of interest that he stated throughout this process. And so I was cueing to the clerk not to even call his name because I've excused him for this portion of the meeting.
And so I need to know if that's protocol by rules of order.
Okay, Madam Attorney. And if you're speaking, Ms. Robinson, please unmute your line.
Madam Mayor, I actually don't see the attorney on the call.
She isn't. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'll have to, no, I can't contact her. All right. Let me pause for a moment. Is she in the building? Okay, Mr. Altman's going to her office.
I already called her. She's logging on now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Brown. Thank you, Mr. Altman. Hello, Ms. Robinson. We have a point of order on the floor. Councilor Parton, I've excused him from this portion of the meeting because we are about to make a motion for the appointment of the school board. And I excused him and asked the clerk to eliminate him from the roll call since he's been excused. And Councilor Pelham has a question about procedure, if that was proper. And if you're speaking, Ms. Robinson, your line is muted.
What in particular is the question in terms of
question is
unpopular?
Should the city clerk call his name and he answer abstain, or should he be completely eliminated from the roll call?
I think it should be an abstention, and the reason is due to the potential conflict of interest, as I recall him stating.
Okay, so he'll be a part of the call. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a point of information, and I'm fine with going with whatever. But normally when the mayor excuses someone from the meeting, they're excused for the portion of the discussion, and it's as if they're not even present. So that's not, I mean, I can call him out and he could do abstention, but that's normally how we would do something.
Based on my recollection of how you all went into closed session, you indicated that you were excusing him from that portion of the meeting. Mm-hmm. And since no vote can be taken in a closed meeting, this is a slightly different question and scenario. So the excuse, as I heard it, now we can check the record, you're excused from closed meeting during this particular discussion.
Okay.
And so he's asked to be excused from the discussion consideration due to that, but the record should reflect that he was present and why he didn't vote. Okay. And that's one of those reasons why, you know, we have had the inquiries as to the reason someone has articulated aloud that they cannot vote on something, just so that the record would be clear. But Councilor Pelham is correct. The proper way to do this is to abstain from the vote due to the conflict of interest.
Okay. So, Madam Clerk, can you take that off the record that I excuse Councilor Parton, so that way it's clear that the request to be excused is it just never occurred.
Well, no, may I just interject? They're two different things. You, again, if you go back to the record, you excused him from the closed meeting.
I excused him from this portion too, and that's why she did a point of order.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand that motion to be that precise. So.
No, I'm saying I just did it when you were not present. When we came out, I said, I'm excusing Councilor Parton per his conflict of interest. I want to make sure that he's not included in the roll call. But then Councilor Pelham did a point of order, and then you responded, but I had excused him from the open portion of the meeting. But,
all right.
But
so, and the roll call would be associated with certifying that the discussion that took place in closed session conform with the motion that took you into closed session. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's not about the closed session at all. It's about, I was excusing him because we're about to make a motion. We came out of closed session and I was excusing him for the vote that they're about to take right now before we go into the regular meeting, the special meeting. We already,
okay.
We came out of closed session, we certified, and I was excusing him for this portion. But if it's fine, I can just go ahead and, you know, he can just abstain.
I'm thinking we're making this a little bit more complicated than it is. So is you're excusing him the equivalent of saying, okay, it's okay that you do not vote on this? I mean, because you can make that more restrictive than it is, but I don't think it's all that complicated. You've accepted his representation that he has a conflict. He says he's filed the proper paperwork. So there is no requirement for him to vote pursuant to charter rules and under any applicable provision under the Conflict of Interest Act. But that's, yeah. I think you could say something as broad as excuse, and that would be the meaning of it. So
that's historically what we did. If we were inside of council chambers, historically that person will be excused and leave the council chambers, and that's what we've historically done for this issue. But I have no problem adjusting. I was just following what we've done. I have no issue with adjusting. You know, it really, either way, he's not voting, it's fine. So I'm fine. I just want to get clarity because I was like, we've done it this way before, and that it's fine. It's not a problem at all. So Councilor Parton, that's why I was telling the clerk to just strike the approved excuse off of the record, so it's not convoluted in the minutes, and we can just proceed. Councilor Parton, you would just abstain, okay?
Enough.
Okay, perfect. Madam Clerk, are you clear on that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is there a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion. I make a motion that we appoint Ruth Johnson and Linda Heislip to fill the 2 vacancies on the Hopewell School Board.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilor Denton, seconded by Vice Mayor Bennett. Is there any discussion? Councilor Pelham, you have your hand raised. Is that for this or is it before?
I think before. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. Those join us via phone. Okay, so I'll make a quick remark. I'll say we had some excellent candidates this year. We had a lot of people interview, is the most I've seen in a long time. So thank you for coming out and trying to show your, not trying, but for showing your support for wanting to be appointed by City Council and to serve our schools and our children and our families. We're very appreciative. If you have not been selected and you show interest in wanting to stay involved in the city, please contact your counselor or contact me, and I'll make sure you know the boards and commissions the city has that you can also be considered for. Again, everyone did a great job, and we thank you for your time and taking the effort to get involved. Roll call, please.
Councilor Pelham.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett.
Yes.
Councilor Randolph.
Yes.
Councilor Holloway.
Yes.
Councilor Parton.
Abstain.
Mayor Gore.
Yes.
Councilor Denton.
Yes.
Motion passes. Last item that I asked for Councilor Denton to add, and I'm on the correct part, right? The donation from DuPont that I mentioned earlier. Standard template, they giving 500 disposable masks and 16 gallons of sanitizer. This is just to add to the other stash to be able to give out kits. Also know of another project I've been working on. City manager is also involved, that would be able to give additional PPE out to all wards. That will be announced soon. So council has been notified of that. And so there's something to make sure we give something for everyone. Do I have support to be able to have Mr. Altman accept this? The donee has the supplies ready, but I told them we could not move forward or pick them up until council approved it.
Can we just make a motion and do it?
Yes, please.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the, tell me the numbers again, I'm sorry.
16 gallons of sanitizer and
16 gallons of sanitizer, 500 masks from
DuPont
for the city of Hopewell.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Robinson, if they say that, will I still be able to get the allocation? Does it need to be clear? I don't want us to be in violation of anything. And if you're talking, you're muted.
Madam Mayor, I believe the motion coupled with the actual donor document that you generated earlier today by email is fine. Motions tend to be sufficient if it's clear on the record what they're intended to cover. So I believe with those two things in combination, there shouldn't be any problem.
Okay, and council, the letter that I sent you guys, it does have my signature, just FYI. I mean, I didn't sign it yet, but it has a line for me.
Did I need to say something else or
Nope.
to the motion or to make it clear? Is it coming to the city, your ward, or do we need to specify?
No, Ms. Robinson said it was clear enough. I just wanted to make sure it was. She said it was clear.
Just coupled with it, with the documentation, there shouldn't be a further need.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor Randolph. Did Councilor Pelham second that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Randolph. Thank you, Councilor Pelham. Any other discussion or questions? Councilor Denton?
Yes, as you all know, I just would like to think that these companies, such as the American Water Company and DuPont, the people who do business with our city, would consider helping all the wards in Hopewell and not just one. I do have a problem with that, but my question would be to Mr. Altman. I talked to you earlier, Mr. Altman, about the CARES program and the possibility of getting some masks and so forth for our wards, the other 6. Where do we stand on that?
Councilor Denton, okay, go ahead.
I'm asking the city manager. I had talked to him about the possibility of getting additional, when the first request came out, I asked the possibility of using some of the money from the CARES,
right?
The 1.9 million. I had asked him to look into purchasing masks for the other 6 wards of our city, and I just kind of wanted to know where we stood on that.
Yes, but this isn't speaking to the motion, so can we have that discussion after the motion, and we can call on him to address that order? Okay, I will ask for him to provide an update, because I have asked as well, and I know others have, so he can give us an update on that. Is there any questions regarding the motion on the floor?
And
okay,
can I just say, I will be voting against this, not because I don't want people to have the mask. I am voting against it because I feel it should be for every ward in our city.
Okay. Any comments for those on the phone?
I did not hear Councilor Denton remark.
Councilor Denton, can you repeat your remarks, please?
Yeah, I just, Council Holloway, I just said that I could not support this motion because as much as I'm glad some citizens will get these masks, I was in hopes that I'm voting against it because it does not include all of the wards for our city.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone join us by phone have any remarks? Okay, there's no hand raised. Before we vote, Councilor Denton, thank you for your remarks. I just, in fairness to me, as even when I started this off, I did allude that I have also been working to procure PPE for the entire city as well, and that you guys were notified of an accomplishment to be able to do that. I can't say that verbally right now publicly what that is. And I gave you guys an update this evening as well that is kicking off. So yes, I am trying to get stuff from my ward. It's predominantly residential and it's the largest ward. But at the same time, I have been also trying to get resources and have for the entire city. So I was just doing 2 things at the same time. With that, and I understand your position, but I just want to make sure people knew that I was still doing both. Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilor Pelham.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Councillor Randolph,
Yes.
Councillor Holloway,
Yes.
Councillor Parton,
Yes.
Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Councillor Denton.
No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilor, for your support. Now to answer Councilor Denton's question, Mr. Altman, you purchased 5,000 masks for the entire city, and I think you said it was a portion will be given to employees, and then a portion will be divided up amongst all 7 wards equally. And we've been asking for when that may be delivered, and I checked with you on that recently, and I think we're still waiting for an update. Can you give an update now about that?
Yes, yes, ma'am. We've also placed an additional order for masks. So we're hoping to have approximately 15,000 masks when we get our order in, and aside from what we may be doing, the other piece. So we're looking to be able to have those in, and then hopefully, along with we're looking into ordering some hand sanitizer to have that, so we can put together bags for distribution to the community. We're working on that in conjunction with another item that the mayor was working on that we've had some success with, that we'll be able to share with y'all shortly. So we are, Ms. Denton, working towards having masks for everyone in the city. We've actually made a separate order of masks, reusable masks for city employees. And then we're also looking at the provision of having some dollars, some flexibility within our COVID money to make additional orders of masks and PPE into the fall, as we are anticipating a rebound of the COVID-19 virus. So we want to have some dollars set aside through there that we can purchase additional and provide some more to the community, knowing full well that some people may discard theirs or lose theirs, that we would have an opportunity to do a second round in the fall with some additional PPE.
Thank you, Mr. Altman. And
thank you, Mr. Altman.
Councilor Denton, you have any other questions?
No, he answered them. Thank you.
And Council, just also, when we first talked about donations, I think it was Councilor Randolph that asked me to copy Council whenever I got any alerts, because I shared with you all that I signed up for several government things for elected officials for PPE shortages. And I sent you guys 2 emails regarding sanitizer about them being available. So if you did not get that in the past, I will re-forward it to you. But every time I get some type of alert about PPE being available for the city to purchase in bulk, I have been forwarding that to Mr. Altman and to Council. I'm sorry, what was that, Ms. Council? Was that you, Ms. Randolph?
Yes, I just said yes. Okay. Right, I've gotten them.
And what Mr. Altman said, the 15,000 and the number that we're working with this opportunity, if it's clearly going to pan out, but when it does, there'll be enough to cover our entire city population. Would you say that, Mr. Altman?
Yes, ma'am. Hopefully, and some, but like you said, we've got to figure out what that level we will be getting through this opportunity. There's been a little question as to the 2 different numbers, but yes, I think we'll be well on the way. And if not, we should be easily in a position to purchase more for now, and potentially looking to make that type of additional purchase towards the fall. And we're going to have some here as we go through the process of reopening City Hall. If people don't come with masks, to be able to hand out masks, knowing full well that they'll probably use them one time and dispose of them. But we're working towards making sure we have those supplies on hand for our community.
Okay. Thank you. Councilor Pelham, you have thank you, Mr. Altman, for your work as well, and for getting this and helping with this other initiative and pre-ordering masks. To add to that, thank you for being proactive about that, making it go up to 15,000. Appreciative. Councilor Pelham?
Well, Madam Mayor, as well, if you get those alerts in the future, can you just request that the masks be accepted for equal division across the 7 wards instead of just your ward? And that way we don't have to come back, I guess, I guess we have to make a motion just to accept it, but it won't be everybody asking the same company for mask. So whatever they want to donate, you know, so we can equally divide it going forward. Thank you for your been doing it, but I don't think they want to hear from 7 counselors.
I hear what you're saying, but I think you're mixing up 2 points unless I'm incorrect. I put out an ask to try to get resources for my constituents while I was working on another initiative. An initiative that Mr. Altman just spoke of is a citywide initiative, and we think that we'll have enough to cover every single ward. So
yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. Going forward, though, I'm saying if alert comes out, I'm saying just request it for the entire city. It was great doing it the first couple of times for your ward, but now it's a need for all citizens. So I think it just would be appropriate to accept the gift for the entire city.
Okay, so you're saying if I do the outreach that I did for my ward, if someone comes back to me after the fact to take that donation and give it to
what was the alert? Did the people contact you or you contacted them?
That's what I'm saying. I think you're mixing up alert. What I said was
you said alert.
I did say alert, but I didn't use it in that context. There were several entities through NLC and others that gave elected officials the opportunity to register for alerts whenever PPE became available. Mm-hmm. When those alerts have come through, I have given them to council or Mr. Altman for a citywide purchase, because those are purchases. They're not alerts for free masks or free sanitizer or any free PPE. It's saying that this vendor now has enough supplies to be able to fill orders for localities because of the backlog due to hospitals and other entities being able to have resources as well. So when these organizations come through, they say, hey, see if Hopewell sanitizer is available. Here's a pricing sheet. If you're interested, let me know. And that's what I've given to March. So that's the alerts, and the alerts are citywide. Separately, I have put out an ask to see if I can get donations for my constituents to be able to do kits. That's the ones that come on this agenda. For when I come back and ask for support. Thirdly, I have been working with another initiative to get PPE for the entire city, and that has been successful. So I've been working 3 individual angles. So the alerts are citywide. This initiative that we are going to be participating in is going to be citywide, and I gave council that information as well in email. As soon as I got the confirmation, I gave you guys an update today. So the city is going to get PPE for all wards in addition to what's been purchased.
Okay, are we done?
Yes, ma'am.
Can we make a motion the meeting be adjourned?
Sure.
So move.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilor Pelham.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bennett.
Yes.
Councilor Randolph.
Yes.
Councilor Holloway.
Yes.
Councilor Parton.
Yes.
Mayor Gore.
Yes.
Councilor Denton.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all. Have a good night. Talk to you later.